What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. I was so excited to make this video. I was all positive. I was like, we're gonna get the Subaru running today. And if you guys didn't catch the last video where I worked on the Subaru, I'll put a link up top to that. But I just tightened the TGV delete bolts down with an impact, just like snugged them up. And I said I was gonna torque them when I brought my torque wrench home. Well, I brought my torque wrench home, just torqued them, and I'll show you what happened. The exact same freaking thing as before, except this time it was worse. The TGV deletes literally cracked, and that looks like it cracked into like 2 pieces, which sucks because I just waited like 2 months for these TGV deletes to get sent out from Radium, and I go to put them in the car and they crack again. So I'm gonna be 100% honest here. I think the cause of this is those IAG 8mm phenolic spacers. Radium says nowhere in their instructions that you cannot run a spacer under these TGV deletes, but I think those spacers are causing these TGV deletes to flex, and it's actually cracking them. So since that happened, I can't really get this thing running today anymore. Even though I'm super close, we got to tear it back apart again. But before we tear it back apart again, I have the intake manifold on. So what I want to do is get literally everything set up in this engine bay so that I don't have to build anything when I'm putting it back together. I can pretty much just slap everything back together. So the first thing I got to do is build some PCV vent hoses for the valve covers. And both hoses from each valve cover go to the little crossover tube in the middle there. They basically just go from one valve cover to the other, and they tee off in the middle and go to the crankcase breather under the intake manifold. So I went ahead and picked up some actual PCV line. This stuff is actually meant to have oil flow through it, and this is the same stuff I use for the drain tube off the turbo. So I gotta get this end installed onto the valve cover, measure it up to that crossover pipe and cut it to length, and then get it wrapped in the same red sleeve that I wrap all my other hoses with in this engine bay. Got both crossover PCV lines built, and they look clean as hell. That takes so much time to sleeve these things with that braided sleeve, but it looks so good and it is so worth it. I had to cut this one short a couple times just to make it clear my little vibrant filter that I got on there, but it fits perfect. And this one on this side fits perfect too, goes into the crossover pipe under there and goes right to the vent on the valve cover. So now that I got both crossover hoses built, I want to get the exhaust completely set up so that the turbo is 100% clocked, and that way I can just pop the intake manifold off. When I get the new TGVs, I can just set them on, bolt the intake manifold back on, and everything else is done. So it'll be nice, quick, and easy. So I'll show you guys some stuff real quick I got for the exhaust for this car. First thing we got is this Grimspeed exhaust adapter. Now this exhaust adapter is for a 3-inch catback to bolt up to the factory downpipe, but with our Cobb exhaust, the way that it has a tapered surface on it, and then the ETS flange is flat, this will work to make sure that we don't have any exhaust leaks anymore like we did before. Then it comes with some hardware, which is nice. And I also ordered a Grimspeed 3-inch donut gasket. Then we got a sticker, sick. Then we got just a standard flush 3-inch downpipe gasket as well. And this should work good for the flat side. So first things first, let's get this downpipe re-V-banded up to the turbo back there. Then we can get the spacer installed under the car. All right, so downpipe's in now. I just have the V-band up top loose and the V-band down on the bottom to the second portion of the downpipe's loose as well. That way I can still move it and manipulate it as much as I need to. And the reason I like this Grimspeed adapter is it does have the donut gasket surface, but this whole top of the flange is completely machined flat. So what I'm gonna try and do here is I wanna run this gasket on this backside surface of the adapter, and then this donut gasket actually fits up perfect to that little flange on the back of the adapter. So it's basically going to be set up just like that. This donut gasket surface is going to go into the Cobb catback. It's going to seal up against this adapter, and then this side will bolt to the flat end of the ETS flange. All right, so I got the exhaust completely installed. There's one thing about the way my exhaust is set up that really bugs me. If you guys look from the back here, obviously you can't tell with the bumper off, and this is such a small thing, but since it's my car, I notice. If you look from the side of the car, it's super hard to tell, especially at this angle. But with these quad tips, the exhaust on the right side of the car actually sticks out further than the left side. And to give you guys a better look, if I look straight down from here, those tips barely stick past the bumper. But if I look look straight down from the right side, you can actually see the Cobb logos on the exhaust. And I know exactly why it does it. I'm just too cheap to fix it. Because if you guys saw my ETS rotating turbo kit install video, which if you haven't, I'll put a link up top to that. But in that video, I told you guys that ETS actually sent me a precision turbo kit instead of a Garrett turbo kit. So I had to cut the V-band off the downpipe and weld a new one on. And these ETS turbo kits are built on a jig with an STI hatch so that they can tack it on the car so that everything fits perfect. And then they take it off the car and weld it. So since I cut my V-band flange off of the car and welded it off of the car, my downpipe actually doesn't fit 100% perfect. And the reason I know it doesn't fit properly is because that bracket never lines up on my downpipe. And I can never get that bolt in, which causes the entire exhaust to kind of shift a little bit to the left. So having quad tips, it shifts the entire exhaust this way when it needs to go that way a bit. And shifting it this way, it causes the tip on the passenger side of the car to stick out further than on the driver's side. But yeah, that's honestly probably in my top 5 things that I hate about this car. Even though it's so small, it just bugs me because I knew if I were to buy a new downpipe from ETS, it would be perfect, but I'm cheap. And this one works, so I don't want to spend $600 to $1,000 on a new downpipe when this one still fits. The fitment's just a little bit whack. So I guess now that we got the exhaust on, we got those 2 PCV crossover lines built, I think that's pretty much everything we can do at this point other than pull this freaking intake manifold back off. That still pisses me off. I can't believe that happened. All right, we got intake manifold off again, and I ended up pulling the whole harness out of the car because we're gonna fix that cylinder 1 injector wire. I built this harness completely myself, stripped the original harness and ran my own wires to length the way I needed them set up. And I messed up trying to solder this cylinder 1 injector wire. I cut it back, stripped it, went to solder it, and then my soldering iron wasn't working and it messed up the wire, made a really bad solder. So I had to cut them back further and now they're too close to the harness. So I got a new tip on my soldering iron now. It works perfect. So now what I want to do is I actually want to pull my harness apart and then I'm going to solder these wires a little bit further back into the harness just so that the solder is more protected. And then I'm going to run the connector straight out from inside of the harness so that the wires are nice and strong outside of the bulk part of the harness. So let's start getting that thing stripped down. Then we can get this new connector soldered in and get our misfire fixed. All right, I got these wires extended, just soldered them in there. Changing the tip on the soldering iron made such a big difference. Literally, you turn it on, as soon as you touch the wire, that solder starts melting into the wire. It's so sick. So now that we got them extended, I'm gonna get the connector soldered back on here and then get my harness set back in the car, get it re-loomed and everything, and then we can start plugging everything back in. All right, I got the harness completely reinstalled. Cylinder 1 injector wires are fixed, so hopefully we have no more misfire. I kind of want to start this thing today. Even though that one TGV is cracked, I got to change oil on this thing, and I haven't started it literally since last summer. And all I got to do is slap the intake manifold back on, run a couple vacuum lines, and she's running. So I think I'm going to send it. Because if I put this all together, really to change the TGVs, I don't even have to jack the car up. I can just pop the hood, pop the intake manifold off, and pop the TGVs off. With the way I have my engine set up, it's super easy to pull the manifold. So yeah, let's do it. Sick, we did it. Man, I forgot how good this engine bay looks. And this filter is honestly bussin'. That looks so sick. It matches the manifold like perfectly. But now that we got everything together, I'm definitely gonna have some intake leaks here. I kind of rigged up a setup for my fuel pulse dampers and pressure regulator just because I'm gonna be tearing it apart again anyways. As you can see with my whole rat's nest back here, I just teed both pulse dampers together, teed the regulator in, and then teed it into the port on the intake manifold. So they all have vacuum, they'll all work for now. So now let's get the oil changed in this thing and get it fired up. Beautiful. Oh, I dropped it. New drain plug gasket. Tight, baby. I don't have a coolant funnel, so we're gonna have to snipe this. Coolant is completely filled up, but I do not have a funnel, so this is probably gonna overflow a little bit. We got about 4 liters of oil in it. I'll top up the oil again after we fire it up, but she's pretty much ready. Let's see if the old girl will start. I don't know why, I'm kind of scared. It's giving me first start flashbacks. Come on, Stacy, you got this, baby. Battery's dead, son of a bitch. I don't have any booster packs right now, so I guess we're whipping out the big old charger. All right, let's go, baby. Stacy, you're making some weird ass noises. What's going on here? Oh, she's dead. Stacy friggin' passed away. Holy, she is dead. Mom, Stacy, wake up, girl. No! All right, this is it. This is the one. I can feel it. Let's go, baby. I really need a coolant funnel. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna just put the cap on for now. Slap the stock cap on there. Before I started again though, my check engine light was on, and I don't know if it's still the cylinder 1 misfire from before, but I'm gonna clear it real quick. All right, what codes do we got here? Ethanol sensor, fuel pressure sensor, map programming error. What the hell? Let's reset this. Turn the ignition off again. Turn it back on. All right, well, let's try it again, see if the check engine light's on. Look at that boost gauge! The boost gauge reading vacuum now, hell yeah! We fixed it. What's our AFR reading? Let's see if we fix that too. 13, 12, 13? 12.7? It might be a little bit off. But it's a lot closer now than it was before for sure. 12.7's rich as hell at idle. I don't know why we're at 12.7 right now. Well, we got no check engine lights and she's running and the boost gauge is reading vacuum. Everything that I fixed is actually, whoa. Why are you freaking out? Why are you freaking out? What's going on? Got no leaks? That's just coolant from before. Why did it just freak out like that? Look at how freaking responsive that boost gauge is now. Ooh, she's farting. Look at the rough discounts in cylinder 1. I would always get some at idle and now there's nothing. I think she's fixed, boys. I'm pretty hyped right now. Let's go. I'm like getting so excited, but I still have to tear it back apart again to fix those TGVs. But she runs right now, sick. One thing I'm really curious about though is if that exhaust spacer and the donut gasket are leaking off the downpipe. So let's go look.
I think it is, I can't really tell.
I can feel exhaust coming out the top. All right, I had to shut it off. We got our first leak. She is consistently dripping in the rad right there. I think it's coming from that fitting right there, but honestly, with the luck I had with the last Mishimoto rad, I wouldn't be surprised if that weld's freaking cracked. Because that's tight. I know I tightened that. And she is just freaking dripping. I'm gonna try and snug that up again and see if it stops. All right, I took a 19 mil and snugged it up, and it seems like it quit dripping. I'm gonna go start it again and see if it starts leaking again. It doesn't look like it's leaking anymore. Even though that's not leaking anymore, I think I'm still gonna pull that fitting off just to check. Can't remember if there's an O-ring on that or if it's just thread sealant on those threads, but that's definitely a little sus. This is sick. I don't even know what to say anymore. I went under the car and felt for exhaust leaks at that downpipe, and it's actually not the donut gasket that's leaking. Surprisingly, I thought it would be, but it's not. It's that stupid Grimspeed multi-layer steel gasket that bolts from the flange to the downpipe. And I knew that was gonna leak. I really want to get a Remflex gasket, but this Grimspeed gasket came with the kit for that adapter piece, so I just slapped it on there because it was free. I figured I might as well try it, and it leaks. So I'm gonna have to order a Remflex gasket because exhaust leaks under the car are not fun. Well, she runs. I'm super happy with this. The biggest reason that I wanted to start this is because I wanted to make sure that that rear O2 sensor reading was good to my ECU and read properly on the access port, and I wanted to make sure that boost sensor was fixed. And they work perfect, which is awesome. But that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I still got lots of stuff to tidy up on this thing, so there will be lots of videos coming. I actually contacted Radium about those TGVs, and they said they're not going to warranty them because I did not use the supplied gasket, which I actually did use the supplied gasket, but I just used the spacer with it. And Radium saying since I used the spacer, they will not warranty the TGV deletes. So I either got to weld these ones or get a new set, but I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, all that fun stuff, because this build's about to be crazy this summer. So yeah, peace out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Oh my God, she runs.